and how busy is it going to be, this season? Is it going to be as busy as last year? I mean, once again, how do we gear up for that? Do we over gear up, and then it becomes an issue of too much, and then you're just wasting money. So, that's definitely a question to ask, for some as well.
Yeah, I think it's better, in my opinion, I think it's better to be prepared than not prepared. I think from my recollection, you have about 9 trucks or so like that.
Yeah.
So, I feel like you don't want to be like, okay, well, hey, you know what? Let me go with 5 crews, 5 trucks. And, if I need the extra help, let me get the extra help for the other 4 trucks. Because at that point, in the summer months, if you ain't got it, you're already late.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of the summer, is either you got it and you're not able to fulfill it, or you don't got it and you still can't fulfill it. And if you can't fulfill it in the summer, it's bad, because you're just thinking about how much money you're leaving on the table. But I think one of the things that we've done in the past, and I think it's just for mental health purposes, is cut out Sundays. We used to work 7 days a week in the summer, say, hey, we need to maximize this opportunity, get all the money that's on the table. That's a few extra thousand or more every Sunday that you can work. And most customers don't want to move until the weekend. So you're like, well, I need Saturday and Sunday, But for the mental stability of the owner, or, maybe your dispatcher or whoever is overseeing your weekend schedule, I think it's like, hey, you know what? If everybody can have that reassured day off, versus trying to figure out where you can get them a day off, I think that definitely helps boost morale, lower claims, everything and above. I've had guys that's been working over 7 days a week. This was past stuff, so labor board, don't try to get at me. But it's summer months, so you're thinking that, hey, I'm going to be able to get this guy a day off on Thursday, and then all of a sudden, you get booked up on Thursday, and you're like, oh snap, I need you. And you can't just turn away that type of money, because hey, this don't come that frequently. So now you realize, oh damn, it's been over 7 days, and I may not be able to get this guy a day off until next Wednesday, which makes it about 10 days or whatever the case is. And you're just like, you know what? I have to force a day off on this guy. Like, I have to give him a day off, because ultimately they're hurting. And, so having that designated day off where it's like, hey, everybody go rejuvenate, take Sunday off, go get your mind right. Obviously we'll figure out another day in the week, because we know you have personal lives as employees, and we want you to fulfill your obligations, because obviously you're here with us, and you can't make your post office runs, or you can't pay a certain bill because you have to get out and go and pay that bill. Obviously we just have to be mindful, have enough staff, not just enough staff, and, go out there and get it. I was a big believer in having teams of 4, even if it's primarily teams of 2 going out, where it's like, okay, well, hey, maybe that 4th person that I hired on that team is a hybrid driver and a mover. So he's not a driver normally, but he can drive. So now, hey, if I need to give the main driver a day off, or he doesn't show up because maybe he overslept, hey, we still got coverage. If I need to give, a mover a day off, oh snap, we still got a mover. So, it's kind of like that hybrid in between, and they don't get paid as high as a driver, but they don't get paid as low as a mover either. And kind of just having that influx of flexibility. What do you guys think on that?
I agree. Yeah, I love your thoughts, and talking about preparation and also leadership. I've been working with Curtis for a couple of years now, and being a moving owner's hard, and being a laborer's hard, and being a sales rep is hard. They all have their hard parts, but perspective's reality as well. And having good leadership and good culture, and being able to adjust when needed, and being able to say, ah, crap, we screwed up, but we can make it better. We can change, we
Mhm.
can learn, we can adapt, we can do the necessary things. And what Curtis did this winter time around, he really tightened everything up, and he saw faultiness in his leadership, and he saw where he could tighten up and where he could get things better and where he could do the coaching that he wasn't doing and where he could tighten the sales reps up in areas he wasn't doing it in, and where he could have his GM train the labor in the way that they needed to be trained, because he couldn't do it all either. You know, a
Mhm.
good leader knows their strengths, but they also know their weaknesses, and they know their team's strengths and their team's weaknesses, and they know where to put the reps in to get really, really strong, and where to polish the weaknesses up. And they know how to say, I screwed up when they screw up, and I have a plan on how to make it better. Because just screwing up just to screw up, that doesn't do anything for you either. Just be like, oh, I screwed up and I did it again and I did it again and I did it again. But I screwed up and I figured out the solution for that screw up to not happen anymore. Up, I screwed up there and I figured out the solution to not let that happen anymore. And the other thing that I think is so big, Phil, you work with real estate agents. It's the relationships. You know, when you do right by people, they want to do right by you. And so you remember to do right by people consistently. You don't do right by them one time and say, "Ah, I did right by you 5 years ago, remember?" No, you want to be in top
Yep.
of mind for people. You want to be that go-to person of like, "Oh yeah, I know Cliff. Oh, I know Phil. Oh, I know Dwight. By the way, Buttermove talks very highly of you, Micah. Cool dude."
Okay,
And,
okay.
and that's what it's about. You know, the world's way smaller than we think that it is. And then we talk to someone, and when someone's like, "Oh yeah, I know that Phil dude. Yeah, he's amazing." And it's like, wow, the world's way smaller than we think that it is. So
Exactly.
do right by people, tighten everything up.
And I think that's the key thing. So yesterday, it was my first, I guess, my second day back to the office, but first meeting in over a year that I did with my staff. And, kind of from my look at it, like I do quarterly meetings with my whole staff, my organization. So even my financial controller who works remotely. And, that's a whole different topic, because a lot of people can't trust a lot of people can't trust the remote status yet, especially if you're old school, moving owner or whatever the case is. You're like, remote? No, bring your in the office. I need to be watching you. Uh,
Yeah.
so, and I guess I developed this trait within the last year of understanding that, you know what, there's some benefits to remote. Granted, you can't watch them their every move, but the fact that you don't have to pay them full as high as you would if they were in the office is a kind of a plus as well, because now they're not just sitting there milking the time. And you can incentivize performance. Hey, if you do X amount of sales, or if you do X amount of this, or whatever the case is, hey, we're going to incentivize you, and that's going to be able to boost your bottom line up. And now they're like, okay, you know what? Granted, I'm working from home, but now I got to get on top of my stuff if I want to get to where I want to get. So, so it's kind of something like that. But then also, like I said, so with the company meeting I had yesterday, it was an all-time low for me. So that kind of hit me a little way, because I know when I left over a year ago, I had probably over 20, 23 people on my roster and just my one location. And when I came back, and I just seen like, goddamn, 6 of us in the meeting and maybe 2 people on a job. And I'm just like, what the hell is this? How do I even preach to this type of choir? But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So, because I was all warm. I was like, all right, I'm going to be a little nervous. These guys don't know me. All right, we're going to get in there. We're going to do this. And where everybody else at? So, but so I had my little meeting. We went over things. Obviously we know we need to tighten things where things need to be tightened up at. And these quarterly meetings that you guys have with your staff don't need to be complicated. It just needs to be, hey, where are we at currently? Where do we expect to go? Hit on stuff like, hey, if attendance has been, a little off, hey, hit on attendance. Hit on, okay, now don't just hit on the negative and say, okay, well, hey guys, You guys are effing up in the attendance area. I need you guys to be here when I say you be here and kind of go from there. That's not the type of meeting that this is about, because basically it's about letting them know, hey guys, this is where we can be improving on. That's the key word. Here's where we can be improving on. Okay, attendance has been down. I see that maybe a couple of guys are, showing up late or whatever the case is. I know that ultimately, basically you want to explain the benefits of being on time. Hey guys, if you get here on time, you could, by you getting here on time, we can then get you to the customer house on time. And then pretty much if, that's a short day, we can probably schedule another job. But basically everything is a trickle down effect. If you're here late, then you're going to show up to the next job late. Then you're going to get out late. And then basically we're going to still expect you to be in tomorrow. And ultimately, you're affecting the customers, you're affecting your guys, and basically show them the impact of why that attendance is important.
I want to share a story, and I think this story relates to any moving owner, if they allow it to relate to them. And the reason I say allow it is sometimes our minds go off cuff and say, well, that doesn't apply to me. And when it says that, it just shuts off any possibility. But if it says, how does this apply to me? Then it would open up and see the possibilities. And so this was football season that I went through. And in football, I don't like bashing people, but this was probably the worst coach I ever had. And we'd lose game after game after game after game. And it got to the point where he would try and amp us up and inspire us, like, all right, if these teams lose to these teams and these teams beat these teams, and we're going to get into the playoffs. We're going to find a way to get into the playoffs. And we're like 0-6 at this time. It's impossible. We're not getting into the playoffs. We're not getting in there. Like, we suck. We're doing terrible. It's a nightmare. And I'm hating every moment of it. I really am. I don't like losing to begin with, and I don't think anyone likes losing. I don't think anyone would raise their hand to lose. So we're losing game after game. This guy's constantly throwing crap our way, telling us what's possible. And we finally get to our last game. So we're 0-9, right? We're 0-9. We're playing the team who's going to be playing for the national playoffs. Like, this team's undefeated, and we've lost every game. And our other coach comes in, our defensive coach. And he comes in, he goes, all right, I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. We sucked all year. We sucked the entire time. We were the worst team on the planet. And he goes, today we get an opportunity. Today we get an opportunity to ruin someone else's day because we're pissed off, we're hating life, we're feeling down on ourselves, and either we can have our tail between our legs or we can be the salty dogs. We can go after them like we've never gone after a team before. Who wants to be a salty dog? And it was like everyone just starts erupting. We're the salty dogs. We ended up playing the best game of our lives. The best game of our lives. We lost by a field goal. We lost to the best team in the colleges by 3 points. And I say this to say, when you're just up front with your people, when you're just up front with them, let them know where they're at, let them know where they stand, but let them know what they could be, Because the difference was the other guy was just telling us some fluff, telling us what we already are. Oh, we're already great. We weren't great. We sucked. And sometimes people need to hear that. Hey, you suck, but imagine what you could be. Imagine what you could do. And that happens all the time.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And with this moving industry, it's kind of like one of those things where don't overcomplicate the system, and I think that's what I've been doing for many, many years, and I'm still catching myself doing it at times where it's just like, hey guys, one of the things I feel like, and obviously I'm being rhetorical when I said that, but it was like one of the things that comes to me is like, when you look at reviews, okay, some of you guys, you guys are like, you live and die for your reviews. You get all 5-star reviews, and hey, great. That's amazing. Obviously I guess I'm inspired by that. But at the same token, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to say I like the bad reviews, but the bad reviews give me a sense of direction. What do we need to improve on? And because if you get all 5-star reviews, and again, that's great because everybody's seeing your presence online, but it's one of those things where it's like, are you going to remember where you effed up at? Or are you going to just see all positive feedback? Oh, these guys have been great. Oh, these guys have been doing this. They was efficient. They were fast. They were this. And you're just like, okay, hey, we're good. We're good. And we're at the top and we're holding it down. And it's just like, it's so much harder to maintain the top than to work your way to the top. And I feel like if I got that 1-star review where customers like, oh, well, one guy was moving slow, or, they didn't wrap this that well, or they didn't do this. Okay. I apologize about your experience. We're definitely going to be looking to improve on that. And that gives us a sense of direction because our guys aren't perfect. It's not a perfect world. Moving in no shape, form is perfect. Even as owners, if we go out there and we say, oh, you know what, we got to lead by example, whatever case is, we might break side too. But it's how we react to it. It's how we have that conversation with the customer. When we got to go up to the customer and tell them, oh snap, that bookcase leg or that bookcase, whatever that wood that's in the back that we ain't really supposed to move because it can get damaged or whatever case is. I think you know what I'm talking about. The plexi board that's on the back of the bookcases. So when those things, come apart and we're supposed to tell customers, hey, this type of furniture normally comes apart when you move it. The customers don't want to hear that per se. They want to hear that, hey, you know what, this bookcase got in here originally. We expected that it would get to the next location, okay. And even though you put in your terms and conditions prior to the move, it's kind of like you still got to justify how and why that happened. But some of our movers, because of how they think the owner is going to respond, they don't tell the customer. They hide it. They say, oh, well, guys, we broke this. You know what? We're just going to, wrap this up, put it behind, put it in there and then just kind of walk away and, kind of go from there. Because they are fearful of not the customer per se, but if their job is going to be there the next day or how they're going to get responded to, and it's that conversation that you got to have when the guys come back to the office. Hey, you know what? Guys, don't hide anything. I was on a job one time where the mover, literally a mover, and when I opened a location in Florida, they was like, oh, don't tell the customer that. Don't tell the customer that. What? Like, I'm the owner. If I don't have, some type of integrity behind the scenes, obviously I'm just trickling that effect down to you guys. And I don't want that because ultimately it's going to come back to them. Whatever you do in the dark is going to come out in the light. Yep. So, just make sure that, hey, you guys are honest, and that, hey, you reprimand them, but don't, make them fearful of you to reprimand them. Hey guys, you guys damaged something today. Okay. Things happen. I do need you guys to be more safe because obviously this is obviously costing us or whatever the case is. And, hey, maybe if we got to put them in retraining, we could put them back in retraining. If we got to, give them a day off to, because maybe they were working too many days and they're getting damages, get them a day off, whatever we can do and document that we did it. So that pretty much now, okay, well, I realize I gave this guy 2 chances, 3 chances, whatever the case is. This guy's just effing up. He got to go. I had a guy yesterday from my location in New York. I had a company meet yesterday and everybody's supposed to be there. Now I'm hearing that, there was a discrepancy between sales and operations, and they go out to the job. It should have been a 3-man job, but it was a 2-man job, and things happen. But the mover, the driver, his head wasn't his head wasn't in the right space yesterday. So he was just, kind of coming at the, dispatcher about, hey, if you don't send me another guy, I'm out of here, you know, blah, 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 and all sort of stuff or whatever the case is. And I'm just kind of listening to this from the back end, and I'm just like, wow. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, and I haven't had a situation like this, but wow. Like, what is that? Like, I want to see what that conversation ends like. You know, I want to see the outcome of this conversation. And ironically, the outcome was this driver was serious. He pulled back in the yard with the truck and he gave the key in, and he was like, I'm out of here, guys. And I was like, God damn, people say it, but they don't never really do it. So, you know, so now, you know, my guys are kind of feeling like, oh, well, we're at the mercy of these drivers. We don't have very many. We need these guys. And I'm just like, I refuse to accept that, you know, because once you start accepting that role of you need someone that bad that you're willing to accept what they do, you already lost the battle. And, you know, so he basically, I guess, didn't know I was there per se as the owner, you know, because he never met me before. And, you know, all of a sudden he passed a message to one of my other guys and told the other guy that, oh, yeah, he wants to have a conversation with you. And I'm kind of like looking at my manager. So I'm just like, did he just not know that? He just came in, gave the key, his gas card, and just walked out. And I was right there looking at him. And he wouldn't have a conversation with me. Breathe. You know, and then I ended up having a conversation with the guy. He called in, spoke to him or whatever the case is, laid out my expectations of what I expect. Hey, you need to be doing this. You need to be doing this. This is what this position requires. We're paying you this for this reason. And if you can't get on board, you know, unfortunately, I know that you kind of walked out today, whatever the case is. But, you know, hey, I've heard good stories about you. So if you can't get on board with what the vision is from me, then hey, you don't need to be here. So hey, that's my terms. Where are you? And you know, he was like, you know, I 100% understand exactly where you're trying to go, you know, and you know, we came down to our mutual agreement. And I didn't know if I was being too soft in that case or if I was being reasonable. What you guys think?
I From what I'm hearing, it sounded like you were good, brother. That's the name of the game. You got to hold on to your standards. And, you know, I do my best to respect everybody. You know, I have my standards. They have their standards. And if they don't align, they don't align. That's fine. I don't have to be mad at them. But if they want to be part of my crew, my team, my culture, they have to align with the culture. And if they don't, more power to them. Find another culture that works with that.
Gotcha. What you think, Phil?
Well, I'm just sitting here. I'm messing around on this computer here, and
Oh, don't do that.
and I'm trying to figure out how I can make myself, you know, like pause because I got to pee. So I'm sitting here. This happens when you get older, man. You just can't, got some things going on as well, so I can't really hold myself like normal. So I'm like, man,
Phil, right here.
I'm sure.
Damn.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, no, I wanted to pause where I'm still like sitting here in person. And I just come back and yeah, I'm sorry, guys.
Melissa, where you at?
Like, right.
Just let him know.
Right.
Phil has left the building. He will be back.
I'm like, how do you pause live? Oh man, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, how do I do this? And I'm over here messing with buttons, but yeah. Either way.
And I get what you're saying, Phil. I was looking at Melissa's comment and stuff like that, and she mentioned something about, I think that is when the follow-up calls work great. Some customers don't want to complain, but asking how we can improve, they open up. So I don't know if she's mentioning like post follow-up calls or if she mentioned pre-follow-up calls, but I think in most cases, I think she's mentioning post-move follow-up calls, you know, and improving in that way or sense, I think is definitely going to be key. I'm a little nervous about that because I feel like it opens up Pandora's box. where it's just like everything went great. The customer told you at the end of the move that, hey, yeah, these guys did a really good job. I want to tip them, blah, 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 blah. And then you call them 2 days later. Hey, I know that the guys were near you before, and now that they're not, I really want to get your feedback and stuff like that. Oh, well, now that I had time to look at my shit, they fucked it up.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's funny though? We had a customer about 3 weeks ago, and we sent a real solid crew over. All of our crews are pretty solid. And young lady, gave them $150 a piece tip, and it was only like a 4-hour job, 2 guys. And she was complaining that we didn't take her $50 off of her bill for a deposit, local move, which we did, and then she started, it went from that to complaining about about one of the guys, about him using her bathroom. Like, really? So I see kind of how that goes though, far as, the follow-up call after, the guys are completely gone 2 or 3 days later. This particular customer, it's almost like she was looking for a discount after the move,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we all get that all the time, of customers always looking for that, some sort of, discount. This is like when someone goes out to dinner, they complain about their food and get their food for free,
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, dude, I know a lot of people that do it. They do it all the time, every week, and it's sad, but, in the moving industry, it happens as well. People are just looking for anything, any discrepancy, it can be anything, oh, the guy had to stop and tie his shoe twice, like what, but.
Oh yeah, I had a customer who complained that she had to get a guy's water.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sure it was faucet water at that.
Man, I question it. I question a lot of things with customers. Me and you spoke before, Dwight. I think there needs to be an area where, owners can leave a consumer review, to where we can say, hey, Mrs. Ingleston, is not very easy to deal with. She don't want to pay her bill, and things of that nature, or she writes bad checks or something like that. It's just my belief, because
blacklisted from the moving industry.
Industry
That's
period.
a 1-star. Like, no one wants to deal with that one.
Yeah, dude. Just in the industry in general, man, because there's several people that just run around here, dude, and they just think that a small complaint can get them something for free, a free this, a free that,
and I was thinking, I think you and I talked, Phil, last week or something about it, where I was thinking, no, it was probably somebody else, but we talk a lot. But I was thinking there would be like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a network of how they do movers and stuff like that, where they have a network of movers and they tell you, hey, these movers are recommended or whatever the case is, but vice versa, consumers.
Yeah.
Where they had a network of consumers where it's just like, oh, almost like Uber. You know how Uber, like, oh, well, hey, if this rider is going to ride with you, well, he has a 5-star, or watch out for him, type of thing, or watch out for this driver. And it's just like, okay, well, shoot, if the driver is below X amount of rating, they shouldn't even be in a network, which I never really seen anybody below a 4 or anything like that. So with that being said, having a network of customers. So everybody can go in this one database platform like, oh, Sherry Woods. Okay, well, she got a 1-star. Like she's had how many moves? Oh, let me figure out how I'm gonna tell Sherry we can't serve Sherry. We are full today. We can't do you. No, we can't move you.
Speaking, going back to that Uber situation, there was an Uber driver one time. Me and Melissa got in an Uber in North Carolina, and he should have got a 0 star, no star. One, it was a black guy. And his name.
Hold up. Why would I be sorry that as number 1?
Oh no. Yeah, let me finish. and he had a name tag on the windshield, which was a Chinese guy, right?
Okay.
So then we get in the Uber and then we're going down the mountains and he look over at me. He's like, "Hey, bro." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I ain't got no brakes." bro, he's easing into the emergency brake as we drive, and Melissa's in the back seat freaking out. Philip, he ain't got no brakes. I said, "I know. We just rolling." Hey, whatever dollars I had in my pocket, I just gave to him, man. Cause this guy right here don't care about nothing, man. Hey, this is a true story, man. I'm talking about a big old dude, man. And I look over at the name tag. I'm like, oh man, he's a Chinese dude. No, he's like, bro, I ain't got no brakes.
And we're ready for the ride.
Nah, but we have but yeah, Melissa said he was running red lights and everything.
Oh man, oh yeah, dude, he was flying, dude, in the mountains, man. I'm like, bro, it was a red light. He's like, bro, I ain't got no brakes.
No, I ain't gonna lie. That happened to me in the winter one time. I was driving to the office on the street and freaking, obviously it was snowing up in New York, but it was like one of those things where you press the brakes early to stop at that light and your anti-lock brakes kicking and say, hell no, you want to stopping? And to that point where it's so embarrassing, you just say, you know what, fuck it.
Oh man, that was too wild. So he should have got a no star for that ride.
But Mario said, I still have a BBB complaint because I used the customer's bathroom. Movie was great, but I guess I should have went in the backyard.
Oh boy, yeah, we all been there.
Oh man.
But no, it's crazy how, like I said, you know, the things that is complained about, you know, obviously I get it. It's a level of etiquette and stuff like that. You know, sometimes the customer complained that, the biggest complaint that I find funny, the customer gets the guy's lunch. Sometimes the guys like me, when I'm out there, I rather, hey, let me get one part of the job done. So if I'm on the load side, hey, let me get the load done and then we'll eat lunch. Or let me get the unload done and then we'll probably eat and go type of thing. You know, but I don't like to stop in between status of the job just to have a quick break and then keep going. It just slows a person down. So we had customers who would complain about, oh, well, the guys, we fed the guys, and shouldn't we take off an hour release, or shouldn't we did this, or whatever the case is, you know, and I'm kind of like, so you chose to buy the guys pizza, wings, soda, all this stuff to get them the itis. And then you want to talk about, oh, well, it's, you know, they started moving slow. Yes. You know, I would too. You know, so, you know, and then they want a discount. It's like, what? Like, and then, you know, and then the worst, you know, you're on a 10-hour job and they give you $7 to split between you guys to go get a beer.
Yep.
And you're like, what the hell? I ain't thirsty. At this point, I done already had too much fluids in my system.
All right.
You know, so it's, you know, only thing we could do is laugh at a lot of these things.
I love the grading system, though. I think someone does need to come up with the grading system for the clients as much as the movers.
Oh yeah.
So Jalen mentioned, when you know the move is going to be 6 to 8 hours, but the client says no rush, but insists you do it in everything in 2 to 4 hours.
Like, hey, can y'all leave those books on that bookcase and take it like that? That's what it starts running. The situation starts running into there.
Oh yeah. We get those customers that say, "Oh, don't worry about wrapping nothing. Just put it on the truck."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh man. Now And I know that some movement owners have some disclosures if the customer says, hey, don't wrap it or whatever the case is. But I feel like, obviously those disclosures don't go as far. You go to court, hey, you're the professional. You
Right.
maintain the
There you
tempo of
go.
the job.
And that,
So, if the customer's adamant that you guys don't do a professional wrap, like, oh, well, hey, let me drape this sofa, let me shrink wrap it, all this other stuff, because, hey, maybe they're crunched for time, I would then recommend that, hey, at least if you have rubber bands, drape and rubber band it. Get a waiver signed if you want to get a waiver signed or whatever case is, because again, it's always their word against your word. So waivers should be in place for everything. Hey, you want me to force this king bed up these stairs that's only made for a twin, and I'm telling you it don't fit. Hey, we'll do it for you, because ultimately, hey, as movers, we don't want to be that guy and say, hey, let's leave your shit downstairs. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have you sign this waiver. And when you sign this waiver, you're going to probably think twice, like, oh, snap, they got me signing something saying that they're going to put all risk on me. And now they start to think, oh, you know what? Just leave it downstairs. Leave it downstairs. Okay, that's fine. I'll leave it downstairs. But you guys as moving owners and movers, if you're out in the field, you have to realize that some things just won't go. Like I've had heavy dressers that was supposed to go around an arch turn to get upstairs, and it was a double dresser, and it was heavy, and I was just like, okay, there's no way we're gonna get this upstairs without rubbing the walls, and there's no way you're gonna flip it around to grab the legs if you lean it. So now you're forced to carry it upside down, which we all know is slippery. So it's just like, okay, what type of damage are you going to do? And you have to foresee this before putting yourself in a situation and inform the customer, hey, this is just not going to happen. So that's that. I guess that's my 2 cents on that. And then that's more commentary. It's lighting up today, which is good. They always, Mario said, they always say, oh, the last mover got it done in XYZ hours. Well, dang, why didn't you call them back, sir or ma'am?
right. I think that's just a magic word to say in the industry. It's kind of like my last, you hear it all the time. Well, my last movers, like, well, where are they at now?
Right.
Want to say, but
Yeah, we had a customer who said that the other day, oh, we had 3 movers move us up here, and with one 26-foot truck. And the guys get there and they was like, 126-foot truck where? This house is not no 126-foot truck. Now we got to figure out how we're gonna get another truck out here with more guys. All right. And they're like, oh, everything got to be out because we're moving. We got to be out by today so that we can, move into our new house tomorrow. Man, this is not a one truck type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to deal with raising the prices up, unhappy customers. Now, you try to, like my GM, I think he kind of went a little soft on it, but he was like, because we charge overnight. Obviously, everybody charges overnight with their trucks. So now he's like, oh, we're going to waive one truck's overnight fee. Why? It's not our fault.
Right.
We didn't lie. We weren't dishonest to the customer. We went based off what the customer informed us about. And I don't know, I'm trying to figure this out because our biggest complaint, and maybe you guys can chime in on this, our biggest thing has been for quite some time now is guys want to have, like our crew members want to have eyes on what's going on. They want to see an inventory, but the inventory obviously we know isn't 100% accurate. I know there's, awesome companies out there like Live Switch where you can kind of get an eye on this on the project before going out there. Which I recommend doing this with every job, with getting eyes on the project, whether it's, like I said, video or whatever the case is, for every job.
I really, I look at life and I say life's very fluid, and our businesses should be the same. Each customer is going to be different. Clients are going to be different. And you got to figure out, like, you want to make it as much win-win as possible. But if you have an expectation and then it's not meeting the expectation, because there's people, they'll record it and they're not recording all the boxes. You know, I haven't been helping the laborers that long. Like I like getting into the dirt of things, and I've been on the labor side, the sales side, the operation side. I've seen all the pieces in the business just to see how it works. And just like movers can be dishonest, so can people. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we get our movers who are, hey, they're gonna take something from someone or even take tips from their own team. That
Oh,
happens. And so
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get the same thing with certain clients too. It happens on both sides of the field. And when you say like, hey, we're gonna hold ourselves to a standard. And if we're gonna do the live switch, we're gonna hold ourselves to the standard knowing that there are going to be clients who are not gonna show the whole thing. And we're gonna show up the way we show up. We're gonna tell them what we told them. If we go by hour, we go by hour. And you just explain it to them right in the beginning. And sometimes they might have a hissy fit. You might get that. And that's fine. I said what I was going to say. I'm doing what I'm going to do. Do you want us to do this or do you not want us to do this? When we stand in our power, we all win. It's when okay, we'll do this. Okay, we'll give you a break. Okay, we'll help you. Look, I know you're stressed out. I get it. You're moving right now. I understand what you're going through. But don't be a jackass to me and don't be a jackass to my team. It doesn't make this move any easier. It just makes it harder. Can we respect one another and win together? And usually that's what people show up as. You know, you don't only have to lead your team, you have to lead your clients too.
What's your thoughts, Phil?
well, I was sitting here thinking, we had a client.
I seen your head was on fire.
My head's on fire.
Yeah, I seen your head was on fire because you was thinking hard.
Oh yeah, I was sitting here thinking because I had I kind of jumped the gun a little bit on a customer. I don't answer that phone very much, but this particular day I answered the phone, and immediately when I answered the phone, where's the guys at? Da, 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 da. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, who are you? It's, oh, you don't know who you got scheduled today? We have a lot of jobs scheduled. I don't. So
You gotta know your customers by voice.
right. Speaking with the customer, I'm talking to her, and she's like, "Well, the guys called and said they're on their way. They said they was down the road." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm speaking with the young lady, and the guys are at her guard shack. They're trying to call her. The guard shack is trying to call her. She's not answering the phone. So, dude, she starts flipping out on me. So I told her, I said, you know what? Find someone else to do your move. I said, because my guys are not going to be your doormat. And we're not going to, we don't want to deal with this. This is not the way that we do business. Make a long story short, she apologized. I apologized back, and then she turned right around and wrote us a bad check.
Darn it, she got one. But that's
I was sitting here thinking about it because Melissa was telling me yesterday. I said, "Ain't that the lady that I kind of had words with?" Yeah, like she wrote us a damn check.
So that's one of the things. We don't accept checks by any customers at this point. The banking system has changed over the years. Me coming from a banking background, being able to verify funds at one point in time. Hey, can you just verify that the funds are available in this account? And it was just as simple as, okay, what's the check number? What's the, to find out what the account number is or whatever the case is. And oh yeah, funds are available, but not, obviously you got to be fully disclosed. You don't say what's in the account, but hey, funds are available as of today or as of right now. 5 minutes from now, those funds might be gone.
Right.
But right now, those funds are available. And you used to be able to just do something simple like that, just call the bank and verify funds. But now they up the security in the banking system, so you cannot verify checks. You have to assume the risk that check is good. So as moving company owners, why put ourselves in that situation to take checks that we can't verify that are legit? Maybe that account is closed and they still had old checks. Now we put the funds in our account and now it pulls back those funds that we needed and hit us with a bounce check fee and other fees. So now we're in a hole. So it's like, hey, if cash cash is always king, and credit cards. You know, obviously we can dispute credit cards. We have bill of ladings. We have all of this other stuff to verify the funds with to prove that, hey, we earned those funds. And with cash, hey, cash is cash.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me see. Let me see. Oh yeah, so yeah, and like I said, Melissa mentioned, you know, good thing about credit card deposits. You know, hey, you know, with the credit card deposits, I know there's some gateways like authorize.net or other gateways that allow you to pre-authorize, you know, final bill payments, almost like U-Haul, where they hold a certain amount of money. And then basically when you come back, they'll adjust it or whatever the case is. You know, it's kind of like, hey, there are gateways that you can do that where it's like, oh, well, this customer move was $2,000. You know what? Let me pre-authorize this, but it's not going to fully charge this customer yet. It's just going to hold it. And if you get an immediate decline with a pre-authorized,
Oh yeah. Gotta start thinking twice.
You know, and I know some people like to hold people stuff hostage. I've never been a big fan of that, you know, where it is like, oh, well, hey, we're about to unload. So it's, some people get the money before they unload, and then kind of go from there. But I feel like, how can you be accurate with how long that unload is going to take? You know, and then you're going to end up having to charge the customer 3 times before their move is over. If you overcharged it based on, oh, well, we projected it's going to take the guys another 3 hours. So, oh, well, let's charge the customer for the 3 hours and whatever the bill is. And then basically realize that it only took you an hour and a half or 2 hours. So now you're kind of like, oh, well, let me void this, recharge them this. And the thing is, when you, even though you voided it, it's still that pending charge on their account. So now it's kind of like you charge them a new amount and you're like, well, I charged them 600, but I really need to charge them 400. Now it's $1,000 pending on their account. What if they didn't have $1,000? You know, even though that 600 will drop off until that 400 takes place, it's just like, hey, you got to kind of be mindful of that. So it's, you know, it's tricks of the trade trying to figure out how to basically make sure that you're covered. But I think it's just basically filling out that customer. If that customer is giving you a hard time on the phone to begin with during the booking process, realize that, hey, this isn't a one-time thing. It's probably going to happen on a move day.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you know, we had one customer who was yelling at us all over the phone, like, oh, I need y'all to come out this day. I need y'all, you know, no type of flexibility. And, you know, we're just like, okay, yeah, we're going to try to make that work for you because obviously I know that your move is important to you. And then, you know, obviously she calls back and says, well, I can't move Tuesday now. Can you have a opening for me on Thursday? Lady, it is Friday. And you can't move Tuesday. Okay, well, we can take you off the schedule for Tuesday, but we don't have availability on Thursday. What do you mean you don't have availability for me on Thursday?
oh yeah.
Well, you're not our only customer. Like, I don't know how to word this. Like, you know, like, we're full. You know, what can you do Wednesday? It's summer. We're full. You know, we gave you a day where nobody else took, and now, well, hey, we could do that. We could do the following Monday. Huh? The following Monday? We need to be out this week. Well, you need to move on Tuesday.
Right. They will create it. They will create it as your problem very quickly.
So, but yeah, so ultimately, I just realized I just told that customer, you know what? My sales manager at the time, she's like, you know what, miss? Here, take your deposit back. Go find another mover. we don't want it that bad. Like, you know, and most people got that 72-hour cancellation policy or whatever the case is, where it's like, oh, we're not going to refund you back. You know what? Have your money. We don't want no banks coming after us. We don't want to deal with you no more. You know, just alleviate the stress. But, you know, ultimately, guys, you know, we're going to have a crazy busy season. Just make sure that you guys are on top of your stuff. Make sure your marketing is still working effectively. You might even be able to dial back on some marketing that may not be working, and don't worry about adding marketing sources in its place, because you know that pretty much summer kind of carries itself. So everything will level out. Like if you have, let's say, Google Ads and SEO and all these other third-party lead providers. And you realize that one of the lead providers isn't cutting very well. You can probably eliminate that lead provider and still be flourishing with all the other lead providers to stick around your 7% marketing spend without necessarily buying into more marketing in the summer months. Because hey, it's the summer month, everybody's looking to move. So you're probably going to get a lot more SEO customers and Google pay-per-click customers and just people just Googling you. So your reputation online, word of mouth, all of that stuff picks up when it comes to the summer months, that you don't have to worry about spending more dollars in the marketing area. So yeah, again, with the inventory, if you guys can get eyes on it, you know, whether again you're using a company like Live Switch, if you're in the Max, obviously you're in this community. We offer a referral discount for members in this community, so you get 10% off signing up with Live Switch. So if you can get up with Live Switch is a very easy to use platform. It's a matter of just sending your customer a text message. So even if they're an older customer that's not computer savvy, like Phil, you know, you can. It's just a matter of, you know, you send them a text message and automatically they get in that video meeting. You can have them switch their phone camera and walk you around the house and just get eyes on the project. So, hey, if the customer has a nasty house, unfortunately, it's sad to say, hey, you can see that red flag right away. If they have too much stuff and they told you that they have very little, hey, you can make the judgment call, hey, we need to add more manpower, more trucks, whatever the case is. And it's a very easy to use platform. So if you don't use it during your sales calls, you can use it during your confirmation calls. And just kind of get eyes on it. You know, I think that's one of the things and ways we want to kind of go about switching things up is trying to figure out how we can get more eyes on stuff, because we're starting to have that conversation with customers where they're like, oh, we only have 30 boxes and 10 items. And you get there and they got like goddamn 3, 4, 5 bedrooms of stuff. And you're just like, well, I sent you X amount of guys based on 30 and 10. And, you know, so now it's like, okay, well, can we do this move today? Do we have the extra guy we can pull to try to do this? And now, hey, we got to raise the price on you as a change order. Now the customer not happy. Now the job goes longer than 3 hours or 4 hours that we estimated based on the original inventory. And it becomes so problematic that it's just like, hey guys, we're going to see a lot of this in the summer. So how we fix this problem now is everything. So sit down with your round table, your managers, whoever you have in your company, figure out how can you address these change orders and how can you make it better for future customers? What you guys think?
100% agree.
Yep, agree here too.
So Tyler mentioned, does the owner of the company need to be at every job? Phil, I'll leave that one to you.
Does the owner of the company need to be at every job?
Mm-hmm.
No, you know, me personally, I like to drop in on my guys on some of my larger jobs. You know, of course, unfortunately, you know, if you've got 3, 4, 5, 6 jobs out a day, there's no way you're going to be able to get around to all of those jobs. But some of my larger jobs, I do like to try to I still micromanage. I do. You know, just depending on the job itself, the client itself. It's just something one of my things, you know, not really letting go is the problem, and allowing the guys to, you know, do their jobs, which all of my guys do a good job. I just like to micromanage it. I like to micromanage a lot of things, you know, but no, I don't think, you know, the owner should be, you know, on every job. You know, for one, you're going to end up cutting yourself short. Who's running your business?
Mm-hmm.
If you're on every job, who's running the business? You know, the business can't run itself. And this is a question I had to ask myself a long time ago, you know, when I was making the transition from an actual mover out in the truck into, you know, going into the office 100%. Like, this is back when I was answering the phone a mass majority of the time. I'm trying to answer a phone, carrying furniture. How am I building rapport with a customer?
Right.
You know, how am I building rapport with a customer? How do I even know what I talked about? You know, or what was said. So I think, you know, getting yourself outside of that truck is definitely a plus for your business standpoint.
So Tyler said, as a response to that, when the customer complains the owner isn't there, what is your response?
When a customer's what now?
When the customer complains that the owner isn't on site, what is your response to that?
So I don't think I've ever heard a customer complain about, you know, an owner not being there. I have heard a complaint of a customer feeling like no one was in charge of the job, like no foreman. You know what I mean? And I can't remember my response on that.
Yeah.
You know,
I actually have a thought on that if you want to hear it.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
So sometimes answering a question with a question is the best way to go about something like that. So if they say, hey, we're the owner's not on site, you ask them, oh, did you need the owner on site for a reason? Is there something that I could help you with, or did you need to talk to the owner?
Yeah, and I know that Jalen piggybacked off of Tyler saying that, you know, obviously if you're a new owner, I've been on every single job since starting 10 months ago. Now, I've heard stories of that as well. You know, a guy that left me actually started his company. And he was like, yo, I got to be on every job. I can't trust my guys to be out there without me right now. And it's that micromanaging stuff. But like Phil mentioned, you're going to hinder your growth. You know, you can't be on every job. So you're only one person. So how many jobs are you taking in a day? 1, 2 jobs, you know, because you want to bounce between jobs, you know, and then who's handling your sales? Who's handling your compliance stuff? Who's handling your HR stuff? Who's handling business development with networking and getting more jobs in? So at the end of the day, I get it that you're 10 months in and you kind of are just like, hey, I just need to build this rapport. I need to get the reviews. I need to get, you know, some money in the door. But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, maybe even after a year, you have to find that way to fire yourself from being a mover, fire yourself from being a driver, fire yourself from being a sales rep, fire yourself from being, you know, a sales manager, a dispatcher, an operations manager. Ultimately, fire yourself until you reach that CEO status in your company where you can focus on the most important things that's going to move your company forward. But before you fire yourself in every position, make sure you create roles and responsibilities for every position and make sure you have a thorough training. Hey, hence max mover training, I got you. But, you know, make sure that you have thorough training in place for your movers, so that the training is consistent. You know, I see guys that say, well, hey, I in 5 minutes, I show these guys how to rap. I show them how to, I go in the truck and show them how to do this, do this, do this, do this. Well, you did that for Rod. What did you do that for Rob? Did you do that for John? Did you do that for Shaquem? Whatever their names are. Did you do that consistent approach with each and every one of them? Or are you expecting the same results from each and every one of them? So having consistency in your training from drivers, movers, on up until every position in your company, figuring out your organizational chart of where you want to go in your company is going to be key. You know, this is something you guys can map out now. It's like, hey, how big do I want my company to be? Do I want it to be a mom and pop where, hey, you know what, we only have this amount of level of management and these amount of movers? Plan that vision out. And then once you plan that vision out, start to map out what each and every role is going to be. Because I think Phil mentioned at one point in time that everybody was doing the same thing and nothing was really getting done. And that's because their roles and responsibilities wasn't defined. Hey, you're focused on account, you're focused on operations, you're focused on marketing, you're focused on sales. Not everybody focused on everything. So role definitive, defining your roles is going to be key to the success of your company. So we are at the hour. We're actually 8 minutes over. You guys got anything to say before we take off?
I appreciate everybody's comments and tuning in and coming in with us. And appreciate
Definitely.
you guys as always.
So next week, we're definitely going to be doing this again at 8 to 9. You know, every week is the goal to be doing this. So definitely chime in, ask your questions, let us know what we can help answer, because obviously this drives a little more energy and motivation to making sure that we can answer your questions from a expert standpoint. We can then listen to, you know, Country Phil over there, you know, let us know his thoughts. And yeah, let's go out there. Let's be fired up. Let's be fired up. Let's make sure that obviously we go out there, we have a game plan. We're not just going out there saying, hey, this summer, you know, we just need to make $100,000. What's the game plan? And this is from a micro standpoint, obviously, but what's the game plan to get that $100,000? How does that break down weekly? How does that break down monthly? How many cruise members do I need to hit that $100,000? Coming in with a strategy. Don't just say, hey, the next 90 days, I need to hit $100,000. It's not going to happen without a plan of attack. So, all right, everybody. Yeah, take care. And if you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate to inbox any of us. We'll be glad to help you out. And I'll see y'all soon. All right, y'all.
Have a great
Bye,
day, everyone.
guys.